everybody. Welcome to day 7 of the Missing Ingredient video series. Hi, Suze. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you very much, Julia. Not bad at all.
Is that because in this video we are talking about the joys of combining operations data with MIS data, and it's your favorite subject. So, in summary, should you have one dashboard for your learners that combines key MIS data with key operations data?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
you
fine.
should.
Why?
Look, this is something that I'm really this is my big data thing, right? And this is what one of the things as somebody that was an ops director when we were managing a national provider, Julia and I as an MD and ops director, one of the really big things that made our lives so I was going to say easier, but that's not the right word. So much more efficient in terms of how we manage the business, because people didn't get to work in silos. People didn't get to tell half the story between operations, the function of timeliness of achievement, units awarded, and all the rest of it. The start, the in learning, the OPP management, the outcome management, the claims management, the income per learner management,
There's
the
a lot of management in there.
there's sorry, yeah, but managing all of it, right? So when you're able to look at all of your different information systems that record all of the different data you need, depending on what contract you've got, and yeah, so I'm not just talking about the ILR data.
But one of the key areas that is a consistent failure across providers and is one of the key issues that has to be managed is you will often find that the people on the front line will, for assorted reasons, both good, bad, and evil, talk themselves out of working with a learner.
Yep,
Um, Partly because they are at the front line and they just know stuff before anybody else does.
yep,
So this learner has told us where to shove it. All right, then. One of the key things you need to manage is that speed of response. So the learner is disengaging or has wafted off or done this, that, and the other, been sacked, um, had a fist fight with somebody in a fish and chip shop on Saturday night. Always love those on a Monday morning.
yep,
Um, it's how long that learner stays on the claim when the people at the front line have stopped working.
yes,
And if you don't join those systems up and you don't have it reporting that people can see, it is really easy for people to archive somebody on an ops system and the claim people not to know.
yes,
And la 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 la, the number of times we used to have it, we used to do big monthly performance reviews of learner progress, and they go, oh, she's left. No, she hasn't. She's still on the claim.
yeah, did I authorize that? Did I? Yeah, because
Did we really? When did
I
that
don't remember
happen?
that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh no, that one, don't like that one. It's human nature for teaching staff to deprioritize learners that they find difficult.
Yeah, and also I know that leaders get really frustrated with this, but fundamentally understanding that tutors, assessors, job coaches, whoever you're working with, employment advisors, whoever it is that you're working with in this industry, they don't understand the complexity of the funding that sits behind the actions you're asking them to do. They don't get it. They might get it from a quality point of view because you've drummed it into them. They might get it from the tick box point of view because you've drummed it into them, right? When you're doing your inductions and your ongoing staff
But
training.
they
But there's
don't care about the impact on the finances
no,
of their day-to-day decisions. It's not their job, it's not their pay grade.
it's not. Yes, exactly. So when a tutor has put a learner in a broom cupboard at the back of the room, with alongside a lot of dusty assessments that haven't been fully
Not
yet,
actually in
not
a
actually,
cupboard, can we
obviously,
just say,
obviously,
but
figuratively speaking,
metaphorically and
um,
mentally.
then they're not understanding that impact. I know, right? about retention rates, about qual rates, about finances, about drawing
Okay.
down money, about having to pay back money that you've drawn down because it's all sitting in different decision-making silos and never do operations and business support functions speak. So this tutor and the IV might think they're making a really reasonable decision that this learner is not engaged, the quality of the work is not good enough, or whatever it happens to be that this learner should be withdrawn from learning. That's great. Number one, that's not their decision to make, but they will do it anyway.
But for
Unless
some providers, that decision-making power has been delegated to that
I know,
level
right?
where it is their decision. You have various systems where it is possible, if you haven't managed the authorizations and roles correctly, then it is entirely possible for somebody to be archived on an e-portfolio system by the
I'm
wrong
still on the
person.
ILR.
La 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 la. Well, she's off my caseload. Job done, not my problem. But if we don't have good systems and processes, then they can be sat on the
That's
ILR
it. That's
for
it.
a
And
while.
so it's that thing about how do you manage all of the different interventions with the learner where decision making, using data to make decision making is at the appropriate level in the business. And that starts with strategic intent. That starts with leadership, understanding all of the different aspects of how all of the different how all of the different parts of the business have to work together to make sure that the data for decision making is there across the finance operations business support services so that we're maximizing profitability and retention and also maximizing efficiency and
But we
decision.
also can be looking at how that tutor and that IQA are being incentivized and performance managed in terms of success rates and leaver rates being part of the thing that they're managed on. If there's no consequence for me in having an early leaver, I'm going to have an early leaver.
But I would imagine that quite a lot of people do have KPIs around retention and
But
achievement.
it's how
Although
well that's been managed and how well people care about that
yeah,
stuff.
that's it. So I
And
think a lot of
it
people have
is,
KPIs, but KPIs are name only, right?
yeah, but also it's that thing of if I'm allowed to archive somebody and on the surface I may have archived them for a perfectly sensible
Yeah.
reason, but we don't tell people in MIS, all right, whatever, they're a bit boring over there anyway.
So say without the
Where's the
MIT.
sense check on that? Where's the speedy response to let me try somebody else? Somebody actually phoning the learner and going, "Oh, you don't like your tutor? Yeah, all right then. Let's move you to
Or
another one.
only the employer and finding out is there something
Yeah,
going on at
what's
work
going
which
on?
means they've
How can
got
we help?"
so yeah, so it's about putting that wraparound support in immediately to keep that well and maybe sometimes to challenge the learner as well if they're being just naughty because sometimes learners can just be naughty and not do the things they're supposed to do.
So we
Having those
have to
grown up,
look
yeah,
at when are we communicating with the employer? How are we communicating with the employer?
yeah,
What are we communicating with the employer? And when, how, and what are we communicating with the learner so that people cannot lie. Let me stop using weaselly words.
I call it
Learners are often incentivized to lie around why they haven't done their homework.
I call it inspirational reporting. But
Yes,
yeah, the same difference.
but the
They
number
make
of
them.
times, over 20 years of working in
Yeah, I
apprenticeships,
know.
and with learners, where the rational behavior from the learner, because it's learnt as far as they're concerned and they've got away with it for
Yeah,
years, is to blame the provider rather than admitting they haven't done it. And the number of times the employer has fallen for the learner's nonsense. So
yeah,
it's looking at what can we be communicating and how and when and why and what are we communicating in order to minimize that so that the employer stays on side and supports us to get that learner through, which is what the employer wants. Now,
Yeah,
it requires us to be performing as a provider. And if we're not performing, then we kind of get what we deserve.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, but again, we need to know as a provider whether or not we're performing or not.
And I mean, it
And that
kind of helps.
requires, oh, data.
Data kind of helps to have good data to be able to know that and to be really, really robust and dynamic around things like um early leaver rates in month against programs and all sorts of different things. But it means that it increases your profit. I mean, basically, I'm just going to, your turnover will increase. If you get this right, your turnover will increase because the strategies around retaining learners to achieve will be so embedded in your business. Your qual rates will get better. The income is secure because you're not having to pay it back 6 months later because some Nelly has taken a learner off on the archive system. The learner's wandered off into the sunset and you're giving back 2.5 grand 6 months down the line because no one bothered telling the MIS team what was going on. It's a whole load of different ways that you can do this. And that
And by the
remitted,
time you're 6 months later and suddenly go, oh, can we get that learner back? Well, probably not.
has already
You'll
signed up
get
with
a
somebody else.
proportion of them back,
Yeah. But
but
most of
that's normally via luck rather than good
then yeah,
judgment.
yeah, because the majority, if somebody's interested in learning and they've been allowed to wander off, they're going to continue their learner journey. It's just not with you anymore, right?
And it could be that life got in the way and
Could be.
life has stopped getting in the way, and the learner is now miraculously ready to re engage at the
Absolutely.
time when you contact them. But it's much better to know what's going on. And
And
yeah,
then
you
make
shouldn't
decisions
have a
about
load of
suspension.
learners.
Yeah. There's the whole thing about how you use suspension well. So if you've got a learner who's having going through a divorce, has got a mental well-being crisis, is having, childcare problems, is caring for their mother, when that whole
At this point, all of those, particularly if they're significant, are additional social needs.
right
Um, Therefore, we should be looking at how we can be using that pot of funding and
money.
those rules to be providing additional support to the learner so we don't
Exactly.
lose them,
And if
or we're agreeing a reduced amount of expectations.
yeah,
Fundamentally, we're as flexible as we choose to be.
yeah,
Now, that flexibility needs to be managed and supervised and documented. It's not about your staff suddenly deciding to use their initiative and agree to a whole bunch of stuff that's not in the business's best interests, but it is about staff at a strategic level knowing what all these things are and having those systems that allow us to monitor. We used to report daily on 4 key KPIs.
yeah,
We would run them every morning
yep,
and have a member of staff wander around the building writing on whiteboards. So it was the number
yep,
of starts that month, it was the number of people completing that month, it was the number of learners in training, and the number of people beyond their expected end date. And those 4 numbers ran the business, because when you're hitting your starts target and you're hitting your achievement target, and you're hitting 200 starts and 100 achievers, and your numbers in learning aren't going up, you've got a break in learning issue.
yeah,
And then you're digging in and going, right, okay, what's going on there then?
yeah,
Because my numbers are supposed to be going up. Why aren't they? And you can only do that if you're connecting the two things together. But coming back to what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago around, is data enough? No, it isn't. I've got to have the data. I've got to be looking at the data, and I've got to give myself the time to actually then go and wander around the building going, why starts down?
yeah,
What's the issue there then? If I want to hit 200 starts and I've got a 50% dropout rate between application and start, I need 400 applications a month.
yeah,
That's 100 a week. That's 20 a day. How many applications did we get overnight? So these numbers help you run the business, but
absolutely.
only if you're following it up by that management, by walking around, asking people what's going on. or having the data systems that give you the answer to those questions without having to walk around. It's one or the other. We've wittered on for long enough, I feel, today.
We have
If
definitely.
any of this wittering resonates with you, please use the links attached to this stuff to book an appointment with us so that we can help you make this stuff amazing.
Bye.